We begin tonight with a story that we actually brought you at the beginning of the U.S.-Israeli-led war on Iran. See, the U.S. government officially requested satellite companies not to publish images of destruction at bases across the Middle East that are U.S. bases. Listen to this.
But the administration has even requested that private satellite companies refrain from imaging the U.S. bases that have been destroyed. And that was confirmed by a satellite company called Planet Labs. Now, a Pentagon official also stated the following. We do not discuss battle damage assessments for operation security reasons. Our forces remain fully operational, and we continue to execute our mission with the same readiness and combat effectiveness. Well, if what we've seen with Iran so far has been the Pentagon's idea of readiness and combat effectiveness, I really don't know what to say. We're in a lot of trouble.
I'm glad others are catching up. Obviously, we told you about this over a month ago. So why would the U.S. government do such a thing? Let's refresh your memory here, because back on February 28th, the United States and Israel launched a massive air bombing campaign against Iran. You know this. The idea was pretty simple: kill Iran's military and religious leadership. Decapitate them, as it was called, knock out weapon systems and mobile missile launchers, to destroy an all-girls school. I don't think that was intentional, but then sit back and wait for protests to start, and the Iranian government would come toppling down, right? That was the plan, that was the story, but the problem is this did not happen the way that they told us it would. In fact, we all now know what did happen in reality. And what was that? Iran struck back, and hard. The Strait of Hormuz has been shut down now for over 2 months. Almost overnight, countries all across the region took week after week of heavy Iranian drone and ballistic missile bombardment. We're talking about Israel and Qatar and Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, even Jordan felt Iran's wrath. But here's the thing, that's not all that happened, because Iran, more importantly, struck hard at U.S. military bases all around the region. These are bases that had completely encircled Iran. And almost all of those countries, those bases, were obliterated. Very little on those attacks was actually reported in mainstream media here in the U.S., but we reported it here because it was obvious to anyone following this war that the United States had been hit, and hit hard. At least 16 U.S. military bases across the Gulf were hit by Iranian missiles. We're talking about the air base in Qatar, where President Trump actually visited just last year. That also includes the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. As of right now, the death toll from these strikes stands at 13 dead American service members. Around 400 have been injured. But tens of thousands have been evacuated. And that's because many of the bases in the region, they look like this. Facilities and barracks in ruins. Smoke rising, death and destruction all around. And current estimates reveal it could cost hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars, to rebuild these bases, and years before they would ever become fully operational again. Now you understand why these images, these satellite images, were censored and blurred or completely blotted out. Like this airbase in Kuwait, you can see clearly how the image's resolution was lowered to conceal the extent of the damage that was done there. And this is a trend going back to even 2024 and 2025, when damage from Iranian airstrikes on Israel was censored by that same company, Planet Labs. Also, Google and Apple, they're in on it. Luckily for us, China and Russia refused to censor those satellite images. The damage inflicted on U.S. bases is so extensive that even outlets like CNN are having to report it.
After weeks of Iranian missile and drone strikes, this U.S. military base in the Gulf is transformed. This is Camp Buehring in Kuwait, a vast desert hub for American forces, home to thousands of troops and even karaoke nights. It's one of many U.S. military facilities in the oil-rich Arabian Peninsula targeted by Iran, even as the U.S. and Israel pummeled its large arsenal. So just how hard has America's footprint in the Middle East been hit?
A CNN investigation found evidence of unprecedented destruction. We can reveal that strikes damaged at least 16 U.S. installations across 8 countries. According to our analysis and sourcing, that's the majority of American military positions in the region, and some of them are virtually unusable now.
Iran's targets? Multi-million-dollar aircraft, like this, Boeing E-3 Century, which gave the U.S. a huge amount of visibility over the Gulf. It's out of production, and in today's money, it's worth nearly $500 million. Also, critical communications equipment, and crucially, radar systems. Highly sophisticated, expensive, difficult to replace, and central to air defense. And experts say the war has created a dilemma. Is America's presence in the Gulf making the region safer, or is it becoming its Achilles heel?
Glad they finally did it. Congratulations, CNN. It only took you 2 months to report what we were talking about from the very beginning, and we knew within the first week of this war. You know it's bad when mainstream outlets like CNN are finally reporting extensive damage to U.S. military bases. And now it's clear why these images had to be censored. The whole myth of American military supremacy has been shattered. We can't protect our Gulf allies. We can't even protect our own troops in our own very state-of-the-art military facilities. Now, it's doubtful if the United States can ever return in force, like we had before, to the Middle East.